am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. This is the free astrotheology course. Our textbook is The Devil's Pulpit, okay? So let's pick it back up. We are on the lecture on Freemasonry, which is part one. So let's pick it back up. There's a lot of information, y'all. In this, there are 4 parts. It's loaded with very, very interesting information. And in my opinion, wait, I'll let y'all decide. But anyway, let's go through it. I had to go and take a few notes, okay, on this. We're going to begin on page 246. Now, I want to make a comment on this last paragraph. We covered it in the last video, which I'm trying to decide if there's a double meaning in this paragraph. The author talks about, not 246, on page 244. The author is talking about, hold on, y'all. Yeah, 244. So the author is talking about the origin of Freemasonry, but I noticed that there is a suggestion or a hint of evolutionary theory in this paragraph. So, of course, I reject it because I know that evolution is, at least for those who are sprung from the soil, it's not our reality. So we had everything, all of the sciences, language, law, everything already made, the covenant of grace, everything handed to us, always has, okay? Y'all remember there never was a time when man was not, and man is thought. Man is thought, made manifest from the soil. So man, the autochthonous Moors are, in fact, those who crossed over. Crossed over from what? Crossed over from one plane to the earth plane. Okay? All awareness, all consciousness, all intelligence, all that there ever was, is, and can be, or could be, hermetically speaking, all is mind, right? But the mind communicates, and everything happens as a result of thought. Man is thought made manifest from the soil. Okay, so those who crossed over from thought, or let's just call it the ethers from now, those who crossed over from the ethers and made manifest from the soil, which is remixed in religion as being Hebrews, those who crossed over a river. Y'all follow me? And then you can argue about the details of what was the name of the river, where was the river located. So y'all can argue about that in religion. It creates confusion and division, which is one of the primary purposes of religion, to separate. No matter how you might try to dignify the separation. So this notion of evolution, as it applies to man, it's a farce. Okay, it's a farce. But there is a created creature in Genesis chapter 1 where evolution does apply to. And that group of people, they don't deny it, right? They don't deny it. So my point in saying all of that is that that is not ancient. The Genesis chapter 1 created creature is not ancient. So when you read, let's say in a good Bible dictionary about creation or the creation story, or if you read well, the only place y'all check this in a good Bible dictionary. Look up creation. And you'll see that Genesis chapter 1 is not a part of the original book of Genesis, but it is the Enuma Elish, okay, or a rewriting of the Enuma Elish, or the Babylonian creation story. Okay, so I have a video that goes through point by point an analysis of Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 to show you that those are two different creation stories. And in fact, Genesis chapter 1 is not a creation story at all. Okay, but you have to go through that video in order to see that. Otherwise, I'm just talking. Okay? But there is one group, the hybrid, that evolved. Okay? And actually you can't call it, it's not a pure evolution. It's a genetic engineering project where they hybridized the egg of a Moabite woman and the sperm of a chimpanzee, the black one, the most violent and aggressive one, the most territorial one. And they hybridized that and created a hybrid being, okay, from the egg of a Moabite woman and the sperm of a chimpanzee. So this is the hybrid, okay? This is the Neanderthal. This is the Han Uman, half man, half monkey. So my point in saying all of this is that on page 244, as the author is telling us the origin of Freemasonry, I see hints of evolution in there, hints of the Han Uman story, hints of Genesis chapter 1. Okay, y'all? And so what this is suggesting to me, in as much as the author gave this lecture in 1831, I don't remember the exact date that Darwin, that the theory of evolution became popularized, or I don't even remember the date that he actually did it, because I mean, I was finished with evolution way back when I first heard about it. It didn't make logical sense to me. The only way evolution can make sense to someone is if you base everything on these unimaginable spans of time. Because otherwise everything is statistically impossible. You have to have these huge spans of time, right? And within those huge spans of time, you have to imagine that the conditions don't change, right? But anyway, that's a whole other story. My point is, the author is speaking about the origin of Freemasonry beginning at the point, this is what appears to me, when the hybrids came out of the mountains and out of the forest, and they began attacking the Moors. Okay? Because Freemasonry is ancient. Dr. Ben and others have told us that. Freemasonry goes back tens and tens of thousands of years, if not more. Okay? And another point, the author makes this statement. Listen, y'all. Listen, page 244, last paragraph. But in earlier days, through the days of an infinitely remote antiquity. Now, this is not possible. An infinitely remote antiquity means a huge span of time. But we know that man has always been on the planet. Man did not evolve. Man didn't start out with no language, no science, no culture, no nothing. That is not how it happened. Man has always had high sciences, high engineering, high culture, law, language, you name it, all at the highest level. Today, it's at its lowest level. But notice what the author says. So that's the first problem with what he's saying. Such an institution as that of Masonry, note that it is an institution. Today, it is an institution today. As it had its necessity, okay, it was necessary, had its sanctity, its right, its justice, its utility, its usefulness, in that in that need which those of the human race, which those of the Han Uman. So where does this notion of a human race come from? Human race. Race is a political construct. Race is not ancient. So do you all see the problem? The author says, through the days of an infinitely remote antiquity, you go back a huge amount of time in history, and there was no such thing as race. Race is a modern construct. Race is a modern construct. So this is not matching up, scholars. I hope everyone sees that. The language and the chronology, the words and the chronologies don't match. This is very basic, very fundamental. Very fundamental. There was no race, no concept, no construct, no notion of race in ancient history. That's problem number one. Human is a contracted form of Han Uman. H-A-N-U-M-A-N. Han Uman. Which is a relatively modern being. It is a half man, half monkey. Half man, half monkey. It squares up with the Genesis chapter 1 account, or the Yaqub story. It is not ancient. So now we have Han Uman contracted, H-A-N-U-M-A-N. So we'll delete the A-N after the H. We're left with H-U-M-A-N. Human. In the 90s, we used to call it man with hue, or the colored man. And we thought that was such a big thing. But then we realized that a colored man means a fake man. A colored man is a fake man. A colored man is a symbolicum. a colored man or a colorable is fake, y'all, as in colorable law. It looks like law, but it doesn't have the substance. Han Uman looks like a man, but he doesn't have the substance of a man. Why? Because Han Uman is not autochthonous. Han Uman is not sprung from the soil. Therefore, Han Uman, although looking like a man, the outwardly difference being is that Han Uman is a Negro. Han Uman is black. Han Uman is black as in necrotic, necrosis, as in dead, necrotic or necrosis. This is a scientific term. So when tissue dies, it turns black. Okay, and the surgeon or whoever, they have to remove that dead tissue, because dead tissue, of course, can harbor pathogens, and it's terrible, right? It doesn't promote wound healing, so you have to remove it. Okay, but the point is that it is black, Negro, it's dead, okay? Colored, looks like law, but it doesn't have the substance. So this is a man. Han Uman, or humans, they look like men, but they don't have the substance, because they're not thought made manifest from the soil, and therefore the substance and subject matter of the law. In other words, nature's God and nature's law. When an autochthonous man or woman speaks, you're listening to God speak law. Let me say it again. You are listening, you are hearing God speak law. When the hybrid, when the Neanderthal, when the Negro, when the black speaks, you think you're looking at the sovereign of the land, at the landlord, at God, because of the outward appearance, but it is a knockoff. It is colorable. It is colored. It is a human, a monster, although born from a woman that cannot inherit land. Y'all see it? So here, now, maybe my imagination is going too far, but I'm thinking maybe the author is writing to people who know what I know. And people who know what I know see what I see, and those who don't. And hence the double meaning. Infinitely remote antiquity, a very long time ago. Yet the word race is a modern concept. Human, Han Uman, humans who arrived here through genetic experimentation projects recently, is a relatively modern phenomena or being. Y'all see it? So the time frame, the chronology does not match with the words nor when these events occurred. Race is modern. Han Uman is modern. But let's let the author continue. But in earlier, this is talking about the origin of Freemasonry and the need of such an institution as Freemasonry. Listen, scholars. But in earlier days, through the days of an infinitely remote antiquity, such an institution as that of Masonry, as it had its need, as it had its necessity, had its sanctity, its right, its justice, its utility, in that need, which those of the human race, and there's a problem, who first, notice, of the human race who first emerged from the state of barbarous ignorance. That is absolutely false, not true. If you're talking about man and man with the womb, Genesis chapter 2. Man created in Genesis chapter 2. That is not true. Man, as I said earlier, had everything, all the high sciences, high culture, everything. So this is not true. Okay? Notice, y'all, the human race, Han Uman, the hybrid, who first emerged from a state of barbarous ignorance into reason. That is true of Han Uman. That is also true of the hybrid. The hybrid is Han Uman. Why? Because a hybrid was produced from a genetic engineering project and was then later set loose in the wilderness to protect it from the sun, right? Over there in that ice box called Europe. Okay? So they were wild, still are. Not all, many. Wild, having no learning, no educational, having no culture, having no heritage, nothing. So it is true for them. Double meaning. Double meaning. If you know this information, you see it. If you don't know it, you don't see it. Let's continue. So the human race, who first emerged from a barbarous state of ignorance into reason, intelligence, and science, right? So they had to be taught. Y'all know those stories about how they were taught. Had to, now these, they had to protect themselves from incursions of the monkeys. Isn't that interesting, y'all? Protect themselves from incursions or invasions of monkeys. Y'all know monkeys live in colonies, right? In the wilderness. So if you have these Neanderthals also living in colonies in the wilderness, baboons, and wild men of the woods, and wild men of the woods. And y'all think back to that movie made in the 1960s and then remade again in the 1990s. Jasmine Rosanna, hi back to you. Faustino, hi, and Jesus writes hi also. Islam and Shalom, everyone. Sure. Oh, the island of Dr. Monroe. Remember the island of Dr. Monroe? He had these genetic engineering projects going on, and he was hybridizing everything. Half man, half wolf, half man, half tiger, half man, you name it. John Carl Apostle, hi. Islam and Shalom, John. Pleasure to have all y'all here. Y'all remember that? Hybridized everything. Half man, you name the animal. Half man, you name the animal. This is speaking. I smell hints of that in this paragraph. Okay, y'all. Now let's continue. With whom the conflict was continually the struggle against wit, the struggle of wit against brute. Okay? So in the woods they experienced that, but when they came into the cities, when they came out of the woods, came into the Moorish cities. Okay, now there are many different nations of Moors. I'm not talking about religion or a club or political group. When I say Moor, I mean those who are sprung from the soil, Genesis chapter 2. Original man and man with the womb. That's what I'm talking about. Okay? These experimental projects were done, of course, the research was done in Yucatan and also in Argentina, etc. But when they came out and they began to attack, y'all just imagine a wolf, somebody that looks like a wolf and a man, a leopard and a man, a lion and a man, all of these hybrids. And now, why am I saying this? Because there's European art that depicts all of these different types of hybrids attacking Moorish castles, attacking cities and other structures. But you listen to the European commentators, the academics, they'll tell you that it's just imaginary and, according to some artists, wild fantasy. But at the time, none of us knew, or at least it wasn't broadly known in the public, that there are in fact hybrids and that these genetic engineering projects took place, and that the genetic sciences and engineering domain of knowledge was high enough that that could be a reality. See, we've been taught that evolution has been the trajectory of man. Everything is improving, right? Primarily since when? Since the hybrids have come to power, since they've taken over the world. How did they do it? Through religion, Christianity and Islam, primarily. So we were taught that evolution is making civilization ascend, making the sciences ascend, but that's not true at all. Since they came to power, it's been a steep fall downward. Since the introduction of religion, education, and the knowledge bases, the knowledge domains have taken a steep fall down. Okay? Now that's the reality of it. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. So we've been misled. But now we know, when we look at these images now, y'all can Google search it. I'm sure y'all find it. Y'all find images like that. They're in all kind of books. But now, since we know that the sciences were high enough, we know this stuff is real, true. Okay? So, what's the author's point? In my opinion, the author is saying here, the double meaning, and I'm reading between the lines, that when the hybrids came to power, they took Freemasonry. And I'm sure they were working with a lot of Moors. We will call them dirty Moors now, right? I'm sure they were working with a lot of Moors, and they took over Freemasonry or Masonry, and they took it and they debased it, which is what the author is referencing now. They brought in wild orgies, they brought in drugs and, excessive use of drugs and alcohol. The same way we see everything around us now. Look, y'all, look around you. What do you see? What do you see? So they did the same thing then that they're doing now. All right, y'all? So the author continues. The mindset of the Neanderthal, of the Han Uman, of the Genesis chapter 1 hybrid is what? War, like a chimpanzee. War, territory, objects. Okay, you fight and kill over objects. Autochthonous men are not that way. Right? Autochthonous people, we tend to be more interested in our relationships than in things, right? But anyway, let's continue, y'all. With whom the conflict was continually the struggle of wit against brute force. Okay? So with the hybrid in the woods, they struggled with the wild animals. But when they came into the cities, we're struggling against them with wit against their brute force. Okay, y'all? Because they're still hybrid. Still hybrid, right? Still hybrid. And y'all know the personality of a chimpanzee. Okay? Y'all Google search. Google search chimpanzee colonies and personalities of chimpanzees. Okay? Anyway, and who were only to be kept aloof by stratagem, overawed by mystery. So you got to outsmart them. You got to make sure you have tactics and strategy in place, and then you have to do some things that are very dazzling to keep them off balance and confused. Okay? And ruled by terror. And then you have to do what? What did our ancestors do? Our ancestors were very cruel. Very, very cruel to the hybrids. Treated them like animals. Right? They ignored that they have some man DNA. And they treated them like animals. Okay? And some people say that we're experiencing karma for how our ancestors treated them. I don't believe that though, but a lot of people say that. Let's continue. But it's just an opinion, right? What I believe doesn't matter. To keep off these, it was always, in other words, to keep the hybrids off you. You know, you're boxing, right? Y'all watch boxing? You're boxing, the guy says, well, I can't keep them off me. Okay, and then the coach gives him some advice. This is what's happening here. To keep off these, it was always the first care of a master mason to see, quote unquote, the lodge properly tiled. To see the lodge properly tiled. Gradations of mystery. Okay, there's levels to it. Levels of mystery. Possibly different degrees, right? Associate degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD, certification in this, certification in that. Y'all got it? Specialty in this, subspecialty in that. Okay, y'all? And trials, note y'all, and trials of strength. Trials of strength of understanding. Trials of strength of understanding. Okay? Someone shoots a situation at you, and then sit back and watch how you react. Trials of strength. Do you have the courage? Do you have the discipline to go study? Are you resilient and resourceful? Where the information that you may not know, can you go out and find it? Do you have the initiative to go out and find it? Do you have the people skills, the drive or whatever, the motivation, etc., the resilience to go find that information either in a book, talking to other people, whatever it is you have to do? The trials of the strength of understanding. See, can you put two and two together? Are you willing to take the risk to make a mistake? Do you have the sense enough to see your mistake and then self-correct yourself And to do that persistently and consistently until you overcome the trial. That's what the author is talking about. Most people give up. Actually, most people won't try. Most people won't even try. And then the vast majority of people who try, they quit. There's a very small percentage of people who fail 3 times and keep going. And probably 95 or 99% of the people who fail 3 times will continue to try. And when I say fail, I mean fail as in they don't get the result that they hoped for. But y'all should know, who was it? Well, they say it was Thomas Edison who said that you keep trying something new, until you run out of things that don't work. And just by the numbers game, since you ran out of things that don't work, there's only one thing remaining, and that's the thing that does work. And you will find it. Okay, you'll stumble across it, or it'll come to you as a download, or somebody will tell you, it'll come. But you just need to persist. So this is what these tests are about. This is what growth and development, true growth and development, true education is about. All right? Anyway, let's continue. It says here, and trials of strength, of understanding, of those whose curiosity urged them to wish to penetrate into the arcana of Masonry, were absolutely necessary. Okay, so all of this stuff was necessary to protect the cradle of the infant science from the incursion of the wolves of the wilderness, and the same law of nature by which man feels that more is due to man from man. Y'all hear that? So law of nature, where men feel that another man owes him his due. Owes him his due. Maybe due process of law. Right? Don't come taking my stuff or laying claim to my stuff, and I ain't heard nothing about it. Right? That's not justice. Okay, so we feel offended, and we're going to go get our stuff back. That's not due process of law. Okay? But note, here's the point. It was not an infant science. Okay? It was the highest of the high sciences. That's the point. So it looks to me like the author is writing, speaking from the point where Masonry was hijacked by the Han-Umans, by the humans, by the Neanderthals, by the monsters. Why do I say monsters? Because if you look up human in a good law dictionary, it's going to give you as the definition a monster that cannot inherit land, although born from a woman. So what's the solution to that? The only solution is it's a monster, and it can't inherit land. But you look up land in the same law dictionary, it's going to tell you that land is synonymous with Moors. And then, if you continue further, you'll find out that land is the substance and the subject matter of the law. So how do you work this out? How do you work it out? Genesis chapter 2 says the man was created from the dust of the soil, which is land. Genesis chapter 1 talks about mankind. And the man and the woman were created at the same time. Not the case in Genesis chapter 2. How do you work this out? The solution is that the human is a created creature by the Elohim, and the Elohim would be Yaqub and the 12 scientists, the 12 female, not female, I'm sorry, the 12 feminine scientists that he worked with. Now, were they Raphaim? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they were not. Maybe they were just men and women. Renegade Moors, men and women. That's not surprising, right? That's not surprising, because man is thought made manifest from the land. So the man is Elohim. The man is God. And God did these experimentation projects. Y'all should watch the video that I did on, I think it's called Genesis. Y'all check my YouTube channel, Zion Law School, where you're at right now. Critical analysis of Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2. That's going to take you through, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is what trips people up. That's why people think that that's talking about the creation of the vast universe, but it absolutely is not. What's beneath the English is the true story. What you read in English is the remix for idiots and fools, for religious zealots. Okay, and I'm just telling y'all like a TIS is. In the original language, you get a different story, a different meaning. Okay, y'all check it yourself. Check it yourself. Okay, now let's continue. It continues. The law of nature by which man feels that more is due to a man from a man. What about you blacks, modern day blacks, African Americans, Indians, Latinos, Hispanic, all of y'all. But especially the black, because y'all situation is the worst. According to nature, you're your brother's keeper. And it's right for you to expect more from a man. That's natural. But the black mindset, and it's not by nature, it's by your conditioning, is what? Extreme individualism. I got mine, you got yours. F you, nigga. I ain't helping you. The blacks don't cooperate with one another. Why? Because they've been indoctrinated to despise each other, right? To despise each other, to find any reason, to find any reason and blow it up, to not work with each other. Well, guess what, y'all? You blacks, I've traveled to many countries, and guess what? All the people are the same. They all make the same types of mistakes. All. But let's say like in Asia. In some Asian countries, they got crabs in the bucket just like there where you're at in North America. Just like in Morocco, crabs in the bucket. Many. But the thing is that it's not exaggerated. It's not exaggerated. They still cooperate with each other. They don't use it as an excuse to only buy Chinese or to only buy Korean. They don't use it as an excuse. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying acknowledge that your current mindset and behavior is not natural. It is unnatural, and it is self-destructive, disempowering. And you're acting out. You're acting out behavior that was directed at you from another man's masculine mental energy. So if you're acting like that, you're a hybrid's BITCH. Now I'm telling you the way a TI is, because that hybrid, through their masculine mental energy, is controlling your consciousness and your thought process, therefore your behavior, your personality, and therefore causing you to put limits around yourself that are unnatural, and making you useless to yourself and your nation. Okay? They're using natural law against you. This is the Hermetic law of mental gender being used against you. Okay? Plunger writes, hello. MD Habib. Hello everyone. How's everyone? Alright, so let's continue. Page 245. By which man feels that more is due to a man from man. That's according to nature. And that's the way it should be, right? That's natural. And from one man to inferior animals, both justified and authorized, that a spirit due corpse which attached the mason to his brother mason. Y'all see that? So masons are attached by this natural law principle. Okay? I owe my brother his due, and my brother owes me my due. Okay? So let's continue. As man more properly to his brother man. Okay? Brother man. You owe something to your brother man. Okay? You owe that brother man, you owe your brother to do for him what you would want someone to do for you. Period. And this is natural according to nature. Y'all see the mindset? You blacks? I know what y'all blacks are thinking. I used to have that mindset too. I know what you're thinking. Okay? But now you see that your mindset is a problem. But will you seek to harmonize yourself with nature? Remember, you must return to the Most High. You must follow the Most High's commandments. The Most High's commandments are natural law. Or are you going to continue to make excuses and alibis to not give your brother their due, the same that you would want, especially if you see him in distress? Are you going to watch him and not do anything? Or are you going to do what a Mason would do, which would be to approach him and say, is everything okay with you? Are you in distress? What can I do for you? See, that's the do. And it should be obvious how that would improve your life and everybody else's life, right? And the nation and the empire. That should be obvious. Just that one change in mindset, or just that. So this is very admirable about Freemasons. But what else is it saying? What else is it saying? They're not idiot enough in this regard to go against natural law. Okay? Let's continue. His brother, in the process of a rational nature, okay, is rational to help and give help. And in that sympathy of desire to enlarge his faculties and to cultivate his reason. Now, y'all, this takes us back. You go way, way back to before the hybrid was ever created. Well, our brains were fully loaded. Fully loaded. Okay? We were fully loaded. Wasn't a matter of gaining and acquiring knowledge. It was already there. We were harmonic with nature. It was already there. The issue was staying there and being civilized. That was the issue. Keeping it. Okay? So my point is, this is another indication that the author is writing about when the hybrids came to power and when they hijacked Freemasonry. Because it was they who needed to gain knowledge. We already had it. We never had to gain knowledge. We had it, harmonic with the universe. They had to gain it. If y'all get the point I'm trying to bring to you. Okay? The sympathy of desire to enlarge his faculties. Okay, they had to learn, not us. They're in the covenant of labor, not us. We're in the covenant of grace. Everything given to us. They're, because they have no birthright, they need to work for everything. They need to serve. And to cultivate his reason. Y'all see it? Which he who hath not reason, he who doesn't have properly developed faculties of the mind, one of which is critical thinking, another analytical thinking. Notice what the author says. Notice, listen, as a matter of fact, let me read this again. I want y'all to pay attention. Listen to this. That a spirit due corpse which attached the mason to his brother mason, as man more properly to his brother man. His brother in possession of a rational nature, and in that sympathy of desire to enlarge his faculties, develop your thinking skills, right? Notice, y'all, and to cultivate his reason, which he who have not. You who do not cultivate your mind, your thinking ability, develop your faculties. Notice this, notice. Though he be the best Christian, who are the Christians, y'all? Who are the Constantine Christians in 1831? Who are they? Listen. Though he be the best Christian that ever breathed, is but a monkey still. Now, those of y'all who thought I was talking crazy, here's the author's words. Though he be the best Christian, he hasn't developed his faculties of reason. What is he still? A monkey. Han-Uman, Neanderthal, hybrid, Genesis chapter 1, the created creature, the amorphodite. Okay, y'all see that? Take a look at the page number. The link to the free PDF of this book is in the description area of this video. So for these reasons, it appears to me that the author is writing in code. Those who know the Yaqub story or the Han-Uman story clearly sees that he's not talking about the origin of Masonry. He's talking about the hijacking of Masonry. Okay? The origin of the hijacking of Masonry. Those who be Christians, those who are even of the best Christians, who don't develop their mind, are monkeys. They're still monkeys. Still monkeys. Still monkeys. Now, this is not the only reference that he has made to the Han Uman, or Genesis chapter 1, genetically engineered created creature. He also made reference to the orangutan. Y'all remember that? The orangutan man? Y'all remember that? I think this is his second or maybe third reference to the Han Uman in this book. But you will only know this if you have the information. What did he, let me see if I can find it. The orangutan. What page was that on? Do any of you scholars remember what page the orangutan is on? The reference to the orangutan. Oh boy. Maybe we'll come back to that, but that's my point. Let me see. Y'all can find it on your own. If I remember it, I'll share it with you. I'm scanning for it now. But I have a video. Y'all watched the video that I did. There's a Neanderthal hanging on a stake. Hanging on a stake. I have another video. I think it's called Busted. It's a review of the etymology of Semite. Y'all check that out. You'll be surprised. You're gonna find that it references back to a grotesque monster. Okay? So here we have it, y'all. The hijacking of Freemasonry and the making it dirty, making it ugly and dirty. Okay? Which is what the hybrids do, right? They take something and then they desecrate it, make it ugly. Okay, y'all, we'll have to find it another time. Okay, so we're about 1 hour into it. Let me see. Let me see if I want to go further. I pretty much covered everything. Let's stop there because the topic, he changes direction here. So we'll pick back up in the next class on page 245 in the first paragraph, okay? All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Thanks everyone for supporting my work, buying my books, subscribing to my classes. Links to many of my books and my classes are in the description area of this video. So if you like my teaching style, if you like what you learn, or if you just want to know more about me, check out the links in the description area of the video. I'm Dr. Yasaka from Zion Law School. Islam to all the Moors, and Shalom.